Before Muhammadu Buhari died, the former president of Nigeria that was buried of recent, he was the most prominent politician from the northern part of the country. And now that he's dead, most of these northern politicians, high-ranking northern politicians, especially Kwakwaso and Atiku, are jostling to take his space. Are jostling to to occupy the space that he has now left behind. But the thing is, can they do what Muhammadu Buhari was doing when he was alive? Because most people have said that Muhammadu Buhari was an honest leader. He was sincere, which is like one of the trademark of people from the northern part of the country. At least not anymore, because most of these northern people that come to Lagos and these other states, the moment they step their foot in these other states, it seems like they just change all of a sudden. By the time they spend 1 or 2 weeks in Lagos, they change and become something else, and you begin to wonder, I thought you people are sincere people. So honesty and integrity has always been their trademark. But the question is, can Kwakwaso keep up with it? Can Atiku do what Buhari did? Because a lot of people have said a lot of good things about him, of how incorruptible he was. In fact, somebody of recent narrated and told us the story of how Buhari was about to be gifted a private jet by someone from UAE, but he refused because the private jet was supposed to be for his personal use. And he said, if you are not giving it to Nigeria as a whole, if you are not giving it to Nigeria, there's nothing I'm going to do with the private jet, because it's even going to cost me more money for maintenance. I don't need it. A lot of people have spoken of how minimalistic Muhammadu Buhari was, of how humble, how incorruptible he was. And that was one of the key examples that we have been told so far. I remember I read an article about how gifting works in the United States. When the president is being gifted an item, it is assumed that you are not giving it to his person. If you gifted Barack Obama a wristwatch, the most expensive wristwatch in the world, he can only wear that wristwatch in the duration of time that he was the president. As soon as he leaves the office, that wristwatch no longer belongs to him. If he wants that wristwatch so bad and he likes it so much, he will have to pay the market value of that wristwatch to be able to get it. So that is how they operate. I don't know if we'll have a similar law like that in Nigeria, but for him to have refused it, I'm very sure that some other person would have accepted that gift. But for Buhari to have refused that gift, it says a lot. Although we all know how his regime was. There were a lot of complaining. It was really hard. Just that Nigerians did not know that we can survive a more harder condition in the regime of Tinubu, because we saw Shege during Buhari's regime. Now we are seeing Shege Promas. So is it safe to assume that Muhammadu Buhari tried all he could, to serve Nigeria in the best way he can, but it just did not work? I've never been the president of Nigeria before, but I'm very sure that for you to have tried so many times to be the president and you eventually got in, you should have done better. You all, before we delve right into the details of today's news, if this is your first time here or you have not subscribed to this channel, tell me, what are you doing? What are you doing on YouTube if you're not subscribed to Newsroom Nigeria? This is a place you need to be at. If you're not here, you're snoozing, you're missing. So please go ahead and click on the thumbs up button down below. Subscribe if you have not already done that, first of all. Click on the thumbs up button. It's really very important. That is how we get encouraged to give you more reliable and authentic news. And YouTube will be able to recommend this video to other YouTube viewers all around the world. Once they see that you like it, you, our subscribers, once you click on the like button, it's a signal to YouTube that, oh, the subscribers like it. Why not we just recommend it to other viewers as well? Lastly, please leave your opinions in the comments section below. Without further delay, let's delve right into the details of today's news. Following the deaths of former President Muhammadu Buhari, conversations about the future of Northern Nigeria's political leadership have intensified, with attention turning to former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and former Kano Governor Rabiu Musa Kwakwaso. Buhari died in London on July 13 after a prolonged but undisclosed illness. His body was flown to Nigeria 2 days later and buried in his hometown Daura in Katsina State following Islamic rites. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Vice President Kashim Shettima, traditional rulers, top politicians, family members, and thousands of ordinary Nigerians attended the burial. Tributes poured in from across the country, with speakers hailing Buhari's discipline, simplicity, and perceived incorruptibility. But beyond the glowing eulogies lies a growing concern over the political vacuum left by his passing, particularly in the north, where he commanded a cult-like following. In Kano and other major northern cities, debates have emerged over who might inherit Buhari's mantle. Anthony Sani, former Secretary General of the Arewa Consultative Forum, ACF, said Buhari's appeal rested on rare personal attributes. Our leaders in the North must now learn that honesty, integrity, simplicity, and a genuine vision for the people are what matter, as Buhari demonstrated. He may be gone, but his legacies remain. No one can easily fill the void he left behind, Sani told Daily Sun. For Kano-based political analyst Usman Kabo, Buhari's rise was less about personal ambition and more about regional need. He did not set out to seek power. It was the North that found him and dragged him into politics, he said. Really? Kabo argued that Buhari's credibility was rooted in his military background, anti-corruption stance, and personal austerity, all of which resonated deeply with the northern masses. He stated, in the eyes of many, Buhari represented sincerity, God-fearing leadership, and justice. That perception helped cement his place in the hearts of the poor. But with Buhari's political mercenary now leaderless, attention is shifting to potential successors, with Atiku Abubakar and Kwakwaso seen as the two most likely to step into the role. Jafar Sani Bello, a 2025 governorship aspirant in Kano under the People's Democratic Party (PDP), argued that Buhari's fabled 12 million votes had already dissipated before his death. In his words, if that number still held, Tinubu would have received more than 8 million votes in 2023. In reality, Atiku took a chunk, Kwakwaso got the crumbs, and Tinubu the rest. Bello said Atiku, a veteran of multiple presidential contests and a former vice president, remains the most viable northern figure with the structure, funding, and reach to fill the vacuum. Any honest comparison would show that Kwakwaso cannot match Atiku in terms of national reach, it said. Awalu Ibrahim, secretary of the PDP in Kano, shared a similar view. Atiku is an old horse. He has networks in every part of the north. Kwakwaso's influence is largely confined to Kano, he said. He cited the 2023 presidential election where Kwakwaso won 58.4% of the votes in Kano, but performed poorly in other northern states, scoring just 8.6% in Bauchi, 6.8% in Kaduna, and less than 1% in Kebbi and Zamfara. Those are not the numbers of someone who commands the north, he said. Still, others argue that Kwakwaso may be better placed to inherit Buhari's symbolic appeal. He's seen by many as a populist figure with a mass movement, KWAKWASIYYA, known for its grassroots mobilization and loyal base. He has also positioned himself as a fierce defender of northern interests. At a recent constitutional amendment forum in Kano, Kwakwaso accused the Tinubu administration of favoring the South in resource allocation. In his words, most of the national budget is tilting in one direction. From Abuja to Kano by road is hell, yet we are told that billions are going to other regions. His remarks were praised by several northern groups who view them as courageous. But critics say Kwakwaso is too polarizing, lacks the trust of many elite political players in the region, and has limited influence beyond Kano. Meanwhile, Atiku faces his own set of criticism. His opponents argue that he is perceived as elitist, overly ambitious, and disconnected from the grassroots, especially the rural poor, who form the backbone of Buhari's support. His recent defection to the African Democratic Congress (ADC) and the fragmentation of his former political base has also raised questions about his long-term viability. Still, many believe Atiku has a better national platform and more institutional knowledge to consolidate the North politically. Whether it is Atiku or Kwakwaso, what is clear is that Buhari's death has created an ideological and symbolic vacancy in northern politics. Whoever fills it will not only need the numbers, but must also inspire the kind of trust, loyalty, and mystique that defines Buhari's grip on the northern physique for decades. Let's have your thoughts and your opinions in the comment section below. Thank you very much for always listening and watching. I will see you all in my next video. Bye for now.